Y'all, there's so much to be thankful for right now. Family, friends, food, most of all, in my opinion, NFL football all week long. DraftKings Sportsbook is keeping your Thanksgiving week full of action. New customers can bet just $5 on the NFL action to score 150 instantly in bonus bets. No matter your appetite, there's something for you. Money lines, parlays, props, live bets, and so much more. You name it, they've got it. This week, by the way, as it should be, the Packers and the Lions are squaring off, and the Packers are getting 7.5 points. Commanders and the Cowboys, that is an old school rivalry. Cowboys are favored by 11 points, and the Niners and the Seahawks. My boy Gino is trying to beat one of the better teams in the NFL, and the Seahawks are getting 6.5 points. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code POA. New customers can bet $5 on the NFL Thanksgiving action to score 150 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, with code POA. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8777-8 HOPENNY or text HOPENNY 467-369. In West Virginia, visit www.1-800-GAMBLER.net. Please play responsibly. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. Must be 21 or older in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms.
All right. Good job, Cho. Welcome back, everybody, to Puttin on Airs. We're here in the virtual Airstream studios. Yeah, that's you think them people that do that in the commercials that air on TV that read like the fine print at the end, like you think they speed that up at all, or do you think they practice
I believe
that?
so.
Because auctioneers can talk that fast. Like, is that a skill these people develop to be able to do that?
I'm certain that there are definitely people who can just do it, but with the advances in technology now, it's definitely not required. But I would say that there's some people who are like, hey, by the way, if you hire me, you ain't even got to run that shit through a filter. Bam, 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 bam. And I bet it's a bunch of auctioneers. I've been holding in that burp since I was trying to read that shit.
Nice. Oh, fart. Did you?
Yep.
Hey, I'm glad to be back. I missed last week. I think.
Me too, didn't I? No, I didn't. I missed Well Read last week. I was here. Me and well, I did. We got a lot of shit going on. You ever just forget?
To what? Just everything?
Everything. I was listening to Howard Stern the other day, and he was talking about how because he makes so much quote unquote content, he's like, I don't remember from day to day if it's something that I actually talked about, or if I put it in my notes to talk about it, or if I heard someone else talking about it. He's like, I have no idea. And I'm starting to get that way with the myriad of things that we do in the Skewniverse, such as this week, I filled in for you on Weekly Skews with Smart Mark Agee. I played you there, and on our show, Puttin on Airs, Kirby played you, but then also played me, and I played you because she did Professor Cho.
Nice. Did it hit? Was it fun? I'm sure it was fun.
It did hit. Yeah. Dude, Kirby was awesome. Everybody loved her. The comments are always so positive when Kirby does it. And we also had, I don't know if you even know this, because I know you don't check shit and I didn't tell you. Me and my mom did the Puttin on Air's very first cooking segment. Me and Mom made a sweet potato pie for everyone for Thanksgiving, and Mom gave us the reasons for why it fit the Venn diagram of fancy through trash. Brother, she came with notes, prepared lines. We shot it. It was a 45-minute segment because we just shot from start to finish. Mom never missed a beat. We never had to cut. She was just murdering it the whole time. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. So you were missed, but I feel like we gave a pretty damn good show.
Sounds like it. Damn, I might have to actually go back and listen, which,
and step your fucking game up, son.
I will never. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I'm not going to be able to follow the Forrester Wimmers and getting back in the chair. But yeah, the thing about Howard Stern, I've noticed that too. I'll I'll have it in my head. Like, I think I've talked about this on here, but I think maybe that was one of my different podcasts or even a
Yeah.
Patreon thing, or maybe it was like, I can't
Or
remember
again, we could have
where.
just talked about it in the thread.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. I can't remember exactly when and where things come up, but
It's a
what are you
fine
going to do?
problem to have. It's a fine problem to have, though, because it means we're busy, means we're working, which makes me happy. And thank you all to all of you who listen on the various things. And if you ever want to email in and point out, by the way, you talked about this on Well Read too, you idiot. You can do that at puttingonairs@gmail.com.
Thanksgiving's coming up. You're leaving in just a few hours to make the yearly sojourn up to the frigid plains of Iowa, Webster
Mm-hmm.
City, Iowa, for Thanksgiving, where your in-laws are from. Via con Dios, mi amigo. You do it every year. It seems all right. I want to ask a POA specific question, and that is, have you ever holidayed with like a rich girl, an actual rich girl? In all
Rich
your goings.
Rich for our town, yes, but
Okay.
not like, you know what I mean? Like her dad, rest in peace, one of my favorite people on earth. He was the CEO of a credit union, and he did well, but like they still lived in like a fairly normal subdivision. You know what I mean? He was a member at one of the nicer golf courses, but they didn't have a mansion or nothing. But he did have, which this is as rich as I ever need to be. He had a condo in Athens, Georgia, that they just had for whenever they wanted to go down for games. And so the holidaying that we did was always in Athens, Georgia. He was actually the one who took me to Athens and we had 50-yard line tickets for the LSU Georgia Matt Stafford Mettenberger absolute fucking barn burner. And that's because I never used to go into the games because I was too broke to buy a ticket. And also back then you couldn't drink in the stadium. So like if you tailgate all day and then just stop drinking, like you're going to be hungover at halftime. But I went into the game for that and it was awesome. But that was pretty much the only experience I've had with that.
And also, forgive me, I see you over there BPP doing your thing. Shout out to him. You guys are also, fairly well to do per Chickawaga standards, eh? So it wasn't
Sure.
like it wasn't an old romance about love across the tracks or anything like
No,
that.
of course.
Upstairs,
No, of course
downstairs,
not.
you were like, you fit right in over there since it
I
wasn't
get
like an actual mogul. But I just know that you've also
Well,
run
I
across
guess
like the heir to the Chick-fil-A throne and stuff. And that's a dude.
no,
I know you didn't date that guy, but like, I just, having
no,
known that, I thought you might have, you know, dipped your toes in some like genuinely fancy waters along the
no,
way. Cause I
not
mean, I never, ever have.
No, not really. And for the record, that family, while like, yeah, it's not like they were crushing it way harder than us or whatever. They were like, my family is still very, okay, because my dad is like, my mom and dad were both the first people in their entire families to ever go to school. You know what I mean? And mom's was to be a nurse, and mom grew up completely destitute and poor. So, and dad, like they did all right, but dad really, worked hard and did well for himself. My point is, I was raised first generation. We've got it together. So because of that, my life was very good, but I was being raised by people who it was all very new to, and therefore they still behaved as rednecks in their old self. So like when I get with this family who is a little bit older money or whatever, like they were wine drinking people. They went to San Francisco all the time to do that. So I wouldn't say that it wasn't like across the tracks romance, but like I was a different type than they were maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know, used to or wanted their daughter to drink, because I'm always drinking Miller High Life. They're drinking wine. Now they fucking loved me, but I think a lot of it was like, oh, look at this trash boy. You know what I mean? This crazy cat,
Yeah. This, speaking of like not remembering when I've talked about stuff, I've talked about this so much over the years. And I had a bit about it that I did when we first started touring. It's on our album. So I'm not going to just go into all that. But like, I had, my college girlfriend, I went and had Christmas with her family. And it was this like really revelatory experience for me, which in retrospect is funny because like I know now that like her family was totally just middle class, like
Right.
actual regular middle class, right? Like her dad owned like a garage, like a body shop or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, in like
Where
Smith
you're
County
from,
or
if you just
whatnot.
had a garage at your house, you were doing something
You're right,
good.
doing pretty good. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I went over there and it was why, you know, in the bit I used to say, but it's, you know, like I was in their kitchen, just like, why is all y'all's plates the same? You know, stuff like that. But like, it really was like that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they had glass Tupperware and I was like, as I live and breathe, you know, like the shit. And the main thing was Christmas morning. Like she had a younger brother and maybe younger sister too. I can't remember, who were like significantly younger. We were college students and she had younger siblings that were like my boy's age now.
Yeah.
So 10ish, 8 to 10ish or something. And dude, the presents that they got for Christmas, I remember sitting there as a 20-year-old, 21-year-old thinking like, and they got me gifts and like
Right.
the gifts that I
How long had
got
y'all
as
been dating?
maybe a year, if that. It was
Oh,
definitely
wow.
the first Christmas
Right.
scenario, first and only Christmas scenario with me
I
and
always
her.
forget that normal people date for a long time. I was always in and out with every girl. Their choice, by the way.
No, I only had a couple of like flings
Dalliances.
like
Yeah.
that, dalliances. Yeah, I either had like, you know, just straight up hookups or whatever, or, you know, I don't know what you call a long relationship, but a year-ish or more, you know what I mean? And
Committed.
so, but anyway, the stuff they got me was like more than I'd ever gotten at any one Christmas in my life. You know, I remember
Right.
like looking at the kids and stuff, and everybody got that, and I was just like, I remember like sitting there thinking like, holy shit, this is what it'd be like for some people,
Mhm.
like because you until you like have a frame of reference, you just don't know. And like me and my sister was both like that. My sister once, dude, Rick, our buddy Rick from Knoxville, Paige was in town to go to a bar show we were doing.
I know.
And Rick gave us a ride back to my place. My sister was staying with me. Rick gave us a ride back to my place from the bar show. We go out and get in his car, and he like forgot to get his card or something. He had to run back in the bar. He runs back in there, and me and her just sitting in there, and she's in the back seat, and she goes, "Oh my fucking God, Bubby. Like, we are for real sitting in a Lexus right now. Like, I mean, this is like a fucking Lexus right now." You know, and like
Just so y'all know,
completely sincere.
modern day Trey Crowder wouldn't be caught dead in a Lexus.
No, Lexi are fine, you know, but even I at the like, but yeah,
But they don't hit as much as we thought they did when we were kids.
Yeah, but to my sister, it was like a
Yeah.
Maybach or
Which
something.
is cute.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Right. Yeah. But so, and so I sort of had that experience, except it wasn't real because she wasn't actually from a rich family at all. But to me,
Right.
she was. And that
Well,
was
it's
what the
all
whole bit
relative.
was.
It's all relative.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But so considering that, I've never dated or any like actual wealthy people. Now, since I've gotten into what we do, I've gone to some fucking
Yeah.
I've been around
Likewise.
genuine wealth and power and stuff.
And it makes you uncomfortable, don't it?
Very much so. Always
Yeah.
has, still does to this day. I like, although I will say, like, and I don't think they mind me saying this. You know, I've known and become friends and work on shit with T-Bone Burnett and Callie Corey, and they're both. All I'm getting at with them is they're both like very top of their game, like super accomplished and highly respected. They know everybody, whatever. They're in like the hitnest inner circles that exist in both music and Hollywood. And I just stayed with them last week. I've stayed with them before. I've done shit with them. And like, they are, but they don't like really seem like it. Like they like nice
Right.
things, but they don't seem like fucking
They're cool people.
tycoons.
Yeah,
or
no,
whatever.
they're cool.
You know what I
Now,
mean? Like at all. They just seem like cool people.
T-Bone
And
has
so-
an air about him. He has this
Yeah.
like certain air about him. It's almost like a James Cameron air. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like where like you just around him and you're like, you would know this guy's somehow a thing. He's important, but but he don't act that way at all. Like
No.
the first time I met T-Bone, and was over at his house, like he offered me a root beer. That's not something
Mm-hmm.
most. Yeah, and you know it's funny. I remember he said, he asked me, he goes, "You want a root beer or something?" And I was fat at the time, and I was feeling really bad about myself. And I go, "No, I'll just take a water." And then we were sitting there and we were talking and discussing shit. And after a while, I was like, "God damn it, I'd like a root beer." And I just look, I go, "T-Bone, matter of fact, I think I'm gonna take you up on that root beer." And he looked at me so sincere and goes, "I thought you might."
So,
and then he showed us Led Zeppelin's mixer.
yeah, no, he's always got, that's what I'm saying. He's got stories about Zeppelin and Bob Dylan and literally any music legend you can name. He's known them for years and years. But yet, then also he was like, Callie had left to go to this thing. And it was just me and T-Bone at the house for a couple of hours. And he was like, we can go out if you want to. He's like, but if you just want to sit here and, listen to my record and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, we could just do that. And he was like, yeah, we got some like leftover tenderloin in there. I can make you a millionaire sandwich. I was like, what's a millionaire sandwich? He's like, I'll just put that on bread with some mayonnaise if you want some.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, yeah, let's just do that. So I'm saying he's not,
Yeah, he's a cool guy. His name's fucking T-Bone, for God's sakes.
Right, very cool guy. But like, I've been to showrunners' houses and stuff, and like, you notice things like, again, I know everyone else knows this, but like fucking poor trash like me, just stuff I've never thought about, like, went to a party at a showrunner's house out here and like realized when I got there that they had hired out everything. Like kids were invited also to this party. If you had
they
kids,
hired kids to come to the party.
Right. Yeah, that sounds bad. Yes, right. They called the kids guy.
God damn, Hollywood is like
a kids guy. Yes, and I fucking waltzed right into that one.
You sure did.
Yeah, that was very Raven. But like, we brought the boys. People could bring their kids, and they had a pool there. Like, they hired lifeguards so you could leave your kids at the pool. They hired.
That's
like,
awesome.
The food was incredible, right? They hired, like caterers or whatever, and people like they hired like staff for just a party at their house.
That's what's up.
Is what I'm saying. And it's like, and I've seen that multiple times since then. And it's like, that's the type of thing that I never would have thought of. I knew that rich people went to banquets and shit where there's like staff and caterers and stuff like that, but I never even thought about people hiring that for their house for like a cocktail party or whatever else. But that's just, it's what you do.
That's that echelon. Like, I remember I used to, in the early years of watching Curb Your Enthusiasm, that would be the deal. Like at Larry's when he would have a party or whatever. And even then I thought, I was like, well, this is kind of a put on, you know what I mean? Like you wouldn't do that just to have a couple friends over, but like, I mean, fuck man, when you've got, I know a lot of people are like, well, that's just such a stupid expense. But like, you got to think about it. It's all relative. Like when you have, let's say Larry Day, hundreds of millions of dollars, what's the difference in not doing it and doing it? So like, hell yeah, do it. You know what I mean? And at the same time, I'll defend it and going like, those caterers got a job that night. It's actually good for the economy. I wish all the rich people would spend their money on that type of shit. Well, you said showrunner earlier. That was this is like my Lexus moment. And I should just say, this is before Elon Musk became who we know Elon Musk to be. But our showrunner, Andrew Wright, who was working with us on our sitcom, who was the head writer showrunner at Friends, he decided one day after we had left a writing session that he was going to drive me home. And I was like, yeah, cool. And I got in a Tesla. And I just only heard about Teslas. Like, it was very new. And I was like, holy fuck. And like, you got in there and it's a fucking spaceship. And like, I'm pretty sure I rode the whole way just like, go damn. Like, it was just, it was like so insane, And to me, that was like, fuck. And to him, dude, to Andrew, he was just like, yeah, I picked up this old thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I wonder if he's still rocking that Tesla. Because I've known some other Hollywood types out here that had Teslas. And I rode in those Teslas, and it was super rad and everything. And they loved their Teslas and have since given up the Teslas because Elon don't hit no more or whatever.
I talked to Andrew the other day. Actually, I need to message him back and ask him about that. If I know Andrew the way I think I know Andrew, he's like, I mean, look, Andrew would have probably, instead of getting rid of it, just got a bumper sticker that said, I bought this in 2017. You know what I mean?
One of the people that I talked to that had since gotten rid of it temporarily literally had a bumper sticker on it that said that. Like they
Yep.
sell those bumper stickers because people know,
Andrew's more practical. That's what he would do. Be like, I'm not wasting 120 grand.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. But but in Iowa with Amber and her family, it's not remotely like that, right?
Hell no, dude. Hell no, man. It is wonderful. Like, I've said this in many videos. It's really weird. Me and Amber talk about it all the time. Every single time I go to the Midwest, I end up making some sort of video for Twitter or Instagram, and it immediately becomes the most popular video I've ever done. Like, these people in the Midwest absolutely love someone not from there, and I extol the virtues. I don't just shit. I mean, I shit on them a little bit, but I genuinely love it. And like, Iowa is like, as far as Southern, tradition and culture go, like, all of Amber's family hangs out in the garage and drinks beer. To pass the time, they all like just go work on stuff. You know what I mean? Like, they're the type of people that will, like, if they're bored, they will go break an air conditioner unit just so they can fix it and shit. And they just hang out in the garage. And it's one of those places too where, like, and this is a very Southern thing, you don't really have to be invited to the shed or garage. Like, everyone just knows, like, it's past 8. I bet we could go up to Mark's house, and they just will come in, and everyone's, hey, come on in. How you doing? They make their own deer jerky and like Slim Jim deer sticks with cheese in it. They're always just getting passed out. People leave with them and stuff like that. It's home to me. They just sound different. They have a different accent, but like everything else, I've said that the Midwest, or at least in Iowa, is like, it's like the South, but with even more of an emphasis on meat. Or maybe ours is fried chicken and theirs is fried pork tenderloin. But other than that, like, we got so much in common, and I love it.
For sure. Yeah, the Midwest and the South, there's a lot of overlap. But I wanted to ask, though, I was actually talking about it on my Patreon earlier about this. I've always been kind of fascinated by this. Like, and I wrote about this in our book, actually, Round Here and Over Yonder, Comedic Travel Guide. Check it out. But in the Midwest and the Northeast and stuff, you said Amber's family, they sit around on the holidays and they're all just like drinking, getting hammered and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, they drink, boy.
Right. How common is that in Chickamauga at family gatherings?
There's family, because it's funny, because even like, I know families that drink, and during like the holiday things, it's still not as much, like somebody, like, I'm not saying there won't be a hot toddy every now and then, and one uncle might be going overboard, or you might have the option, but like, nobody's really throwing down. Whereas like in Iowa, it's like, it may as well be any other Tuesday. We're drinking fucking Busch Light. I don't know what to tell you.
That's what I'm saying. In the Midwest and up in the Northeast, they got all these goddamn Catholics.
Bible.
They got, if they are Bible, they Catholic Bible.
And they drink.
Catholic Bible, they drunk, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you got all these goddamn spaghetti people and potato people up in the Northeast, fucking Catholic whites, huge families, and they just get fucking hammered together. And it's like, like you said, like my family, dude, like, I mean, my mom is a straight up hillbilly, but even on my dad's side of the family, like my dad was a drinker and a fucking dope smoking heathen and all this shit. My papaw drank a bowl of whiskey a night, as you know, whiskey bowl papaw. Fucking, I come from, like Eric Church, a long line of sinners like me, just fucking animals, right? But like at holidays, when the family was together, they didn't do that. It was like that wasn't proper or something.
It's probably evolution.
And like Katie's family, they also don't. Her family's not like mine, but I know some of them. I know at least a couple of them do, but never when they're all together, ever. Any girl I've ever dated, I've only ever dated Southern girls, now that I think about it. And any girl I've ever dated, their family, I've never been part of or even adjacent to a family that got hammered at the holidays, because I feel like, I know it exists in the South, but it's much more rare. I feel like culturally,
it's super rare.
It's like, because Meemaw's there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. That's it right there.
You don't drink in front of Meemaw. You know what I mean? You got to. It's disrespectful to drink in front of Meemaw, or whatever. Whereas in the Midwest, Meemaw's fucking throwing back Malort and fucking calling people pussies and shit.
Dude,
like,
the king
Meemaw goes hard up there. Fucking
Grandpa Rich, the king, rest in peace. We lost him earlier this year, as you know. He was the biggest partier of the bunch. Like, Grandpa Rich, dude, every goddamn picture that we would all try to take with all the kids and the babies and the family, Grandma Sandy would have to accost Grandpa Rich because he wouldn't put his beer can. It's like, oh, Rich, just put the goddamn Milwaukee's best down for a picture, will you? And he would chug it real quick and burp, and then it was like, that's an angel got its wings. You know what I mean? But like in the South, like it's 100% mammals here, and we can't do that. Or it's also like even weirder. We're like, this is how it's been in my town for years, and I never understood. Like, we just finally passed liquor by the drink in town, and like alcohol sales or whatever, and it blew my mind because I know that the majority of people in Chickamauga drink, right? But there's this weird thing about how everyone here drinks, but we don't tell anybody that we do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like
repression, dude.
It's the
we're all so repressed in the South, sexually and socially and otherwise.
Yes, and everyone, when they go to vote, it's almost like they're like, somebody's watching me click this. I can't. You know, it's like when you go to the people go to the doctor, and the doctor's asking them all these things that they're like, do you have this? And everybody's like, no. And like, you do. It's just, I just don't want my doctor to know. And it's like, you got to tell your doctor. That's what you're supposed to tell your doctor. You know, we do the same thing when it comes to voting. It's like, hey, do you think liquor should be passed or whatever? And they're like, I do, but I can't say that. We all pretend like we don't, you know? Yeah. So the point is,
be a good Christian. I can't vote for liquor by the drink. Yeah.
I can. Yeah. If I'm in my basement, God can't see it, but he can see me vote because I'm out here, you know? And because of that, like, it's just an odd thing. Like when every individual family drinks, but when they all get together, it's like the families don't want to admit to the other family that they do. Right. So nobody does.
Because that would make them the sinning family or whatever, and the other family are good. Meanwhile, they're all doing it, and it's like, well, you know, there's jokes about it. Like it's like why do you only go fishing with 2 or more Baptists?
So you can drink all their beer?
Because if you only bring one, he'll drink all your beer.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Wade used to have remember Wade Cardwell?
Of course. Do the voice.
Hey everybody, I love titties. I wish there was titties on a butt so I didn't have to roll the bitch back over. Am I right? That's pretty good.
That's great. Yeah.
So Wade used to, when he was emceeing at the Comedy Catch, he had this like built-in bit that he did about getting a drink in the Comedy Catch branded cups. And it was basically just like, hey, if you order a drink, it comes in this Comedy Catch cup so nobody can tell what it is, so all the Baptists can have a good time. And it's perfect, and it worked. It was awesome.
And you know, my dad owned the video store in town, and we had the porno room in the back behind the curtain, right? And it was the same type of thing. Like, you know, good Christians, because the porn room kept the lights on in that fucking place. Of course it did. Right? Believe it, right? But
the door was glued shut.
People would have to come in there, you know, 10 minutes before close, where you had to come in there and scope it out, make sure nobody else was around, right? It's a small town, people from church or whatever. But then, like, once the coast was clear, dude, go back there and just rack it up and then get the fuck out of there as quick as you can, you know? I remember I at my day job, when I worked for the DOE, I worked with this sweet little Christian lady, you know, about 45 at the time, super conservative, super Christian. And this was at the height of 50 Shades of Grey, right? And so she told me that what she did was, because she was just so curious, she just had to know, right? And I'm sure she'd been knowing, but like, she went to Barnes & Noble or wherever, and she like surreptitiously got a copy of 50 Shades of Grey, and she put it underneath a like Christian testimonial book or something like that. That's what
I did with Mein Kampf. I put it under a Sylvia Plath book.
Yeah, carried it around, you know, facing outward. So if anybody said, but it's like, dude, in the South, people think like that. They think about shit like that. Dude, they think about like covert ops. To disguise all their sinning or whatever. Like it's wild.
Dude, how crazy is it that before like the internet, you used to have a jack off budget? You know what I mean? Like you had
Yeah.
to spend money to jack off. So like every month you're like, I got to cut back on jacking off because we're trying to get a boat. You know?
No. Cut back on the boat fund.
Yeah, right. No, them
Yo,
kids ain't going to school.
No, yeah, they can. Yeah, they can eat Hot Pockets for dinner for a couple more days if they have to. Like,
I'll bet goddamn.
the jack off budget was sacrosanct. That was
right.
jack off budget was the last thing you dipped into. It was like the mortgage, then the jack off budget, and then and you go down from there.
We can live anywhere. Hell,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Fuck me.
Yeah, but I think that like those families that drink like that, it seems like it hits, and I'm sure it just depends on the family, because it's also like I also think of like, I don't know how many people listening watch that show, The Bear on FX, right? But I
love it so much.
There's a Christmas episode in season 2, which
can I tell you something before you get
Yankee
into it?
Family. I mean, it's the Midwest, but it's Chicago, right? And so like Chicago feels like not as Midwesty. It feels like big city-y or whatever. Yeah. But anyway, it's this big Midwest Italian Yankee family, and they're having a Christmas and they're drinking and shit, and it's just like
it's uncut gems, dude. It's uncut gems, that episode.
And by the way, each other's throat, screaming at each other the whole time and whatnot. And it's like it hits, dude. But I'm also sitting there as like a sweet Southern boy the whole time. I'm sitting there like, God damn, these Yankees need to chill the fuck out, bro. Jesus Christ, is this how they be? They really be like this? Like,
I said it
because it's a lot. It's a whole lot.
It's a ton. And I said, and dude, Jamie Lee Curtis deserves an Emmy. I don't know if that's already happened or if she got it or whatever, but I said at the time, and I mean it, that's like the best episode of television in a comedy show that I've seen in like, I don't know, 10 years. And by the way, I say that and I'll admit that I was stressed the fuck out the whole time, but like that, to me, that holds weight. Like you made me feel something, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, it's intense. And luckily that's not how Amber's, nope. I've never seen any of them fight. And maybe it's because they're drunk, but you would think though, the drinking
that it would make
amplify.
That work. Right.
And I think that's why a lot of people in the South, maybe they're like, there's a lot of families that probably used to drink during the holidays. And they were like, well, listen, Randy literally can't, so we all can't. You know what I mean? Because now, when I was a kid, my uncle used to come methed the fuck out to Christmas. But you can't breathalyze for that. And you know what I mean? He would just do it before he came and whatever. But yeah, I again, Amber's, dude, I'm so fucking lucky in the sense that, and they wouldn't mind me saying this, they're not atheists or anything, but they're very non-religious. I think all of them like believe in God and probably think maybe Jesus is real or what. I don't even know, but they don't, you ain't ever gonna hear them talk about it. They damn sure don't believe any law ought be made to, pacify those that do believe in it. And they'd rather not talk about it. And the same for politics too. They're like, in the Midwest, maybe they're just like, maybe the Midwest is just like, it's weird to say, but like just 10 years behind the South. And I say that because they act exactly like my hometown acted in the 90s about politics, which was, they were like, fuck all of them. You know what I mean? They were like, ain't none of them give a shit about us.
Well, Joe, I don't want to hurt you right now, but the 90s were 30 years ago, not 10.
What did I say?
But yeah. Well, you said they're 10 years behind us. You're like, because they act like it's the 90s. And I hear you. God. I hear you.
Wow.
The late 90s is perpetually 10 years away in my mind.
Wow. I just legit.
Not to be.
I just legit said that, not as a bit. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, no, I find that refreshing to hear that. That does hit. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to talk about, it's Thanksgiving week. I mean, when people hear this, Thanksgiving happened yesterday. Hope y'all enjoyed the turkey and didn't fight with your uncle too much. And if you're from a drunk family, I hope you drunked it up and had a good time.
I've got a Thanksgiving question for you.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
It's related to food, which I'm sure is fine with you. Yeah. Your ideal sweet potato casserole. Describe it to me. I don't want to lead. I don't want to lead the question, so I'm just going to say, describe it to me.
This ain't going to hit for you.
You don't like it?
I like sweet potatoes. The vegetable, the tuber itself hits for me. The classic sweet potato casserole that you often find with the marshmallows toasted on top and all that stuff. I don't have a huge sweet tooth, and I've always found that to be just a bit much. I've never been a huge fan of that.
It does hit for me. I'm with you.
Oh wow!
I'm with
I did
you,
not
but
expect it to go that way. I
let
thought you were
me-
going to be like double marshmallows, right?
No,
Double
fuck no.
marshmallows.
I hate the fucking marshmallows because and I didn't even know that people did that shit. Because the way my mom makes sweet potato casserole, I think you would find delightful, because what she does instead of marshmallows, she lightly dusts pecans with brown sugar and glazes it on top. So it's not this insane, it's just nice. The pecans add a little bit of nuttiness. It's not overly sweet because the pecans take away a little bit of that. And I think you would find that to be wonderful, because when you're eating a sweet potato like as a baked potato, you do a little brown sugar and butter, right?
Yes, I do. I also sometimes I do, and that does hit, but I'll
put
go
chili in it.
I'll go the salt route
Me
instead.
too.
Not chili, but like butter and salt or whatever. Because I think that
ain't nothing wrong with that.
Right, yeah.
It's sweet
But
enough.
yeah,
I agree with you. But no,
they're sweet enough in my opinion.
You would like my mom's sweet potato casserole because she opts for the pecans, which I
like
find
nuts in it. I've had nuts in. Pecans are great, so I'm
no,
on board.
dude, I can't stand that marshmallow shit. And for the record, I love marshmallows. I'm a big fan. By the way, Trey, did you know what marshmallows' original intent was?
Intent, I don't know, but there's like a marshmallow plant, right? Or like it comes from a plant marshmallow, not the marshmallows we get at the store. Those are just like sugar confections. But originally, marshmallow, I think, was like some kind of botanical situation.
You're blowing my fucking mind. I didn't know that. But
I think that's true. I'm gonna double check it. But anyway, the original intent, no, I don't know it. Tell me.
They were supposed to be a cough drop.
Of course they were.
Yeah. the sugary creaminess was supposed to coat your throat. And by the way, I had a cough not long ago. We had some marshmallows. It don't not hit. You get to eat a marshmallow.
Yeah. The word marshmallow comes from the mallow plant species, which grows in marshes. The plant stems and leaves are fleshy, and its white flower has 5 petals, yada, yada. So there is a marshmallow plant, but it ain't, the confectionery that we know.
I'm talking about the jet puff motherfuckers.
Right, yeah. Back in the day, like fucking, like candy was like also drugs.
Luden's is still that way.
Right, yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah. Candy, that's why drugstores had candy and stuff. It's like, you could get candy, which was a drug, or you could get like children's Tylenol, which was heroin at the time, and that's how they used to roll.
Your kid has a sore throat, give them candy. Will that really help? No, but they'll shut the fuck up. Next.
Yeah. But I wanted to, let's see, before we get into your thing, I had
let's take a break. How about that? Can we take a break?
Wait, do you want to take a break before your subject? Because this is just one little. I wanted to read a piece of airmail that I said I would read 2 weeks ago and I didn't.
Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, we'll do this, then we'll take a break, and then you can do Professor Cho. I had a whole topic tonight, but we got to talk about Thanksgiving, and now I'm going to save it because I do think it's going to hit. I'd like to read up more on it. So a couple weeks ago, last time I was here, I opened up an airmail about Boston, and I looked at it, and it was hugely long, and I said, okay, I'm going to need to dive into this and revisit it, right? So I've done so. Now we're going back to it. Y'all know I was in Boston recently, and we talked about Boston on the show about how it's a perfect fancy trash Venn diagram city. But I said I tried to Google like Boston trash stories or whatever, and I couldn't find anything satisfying, which is very frustrating to me. So we got this airmail from our boy Travis, who is the airhead that we traumatized when we made him realize that he had been cybering with middle-aged pedophiles. Remember, we read that airmail from him.
We traumatized a lot of motherfuckers with that because it traumatized me.
Hey, truth hurts, baby. But anyway, he's a New England feller. He said he is deeming himself the senior New England correspondent for the Skewniverse, which I'm fine with. Yeah, you got the job, buddy. He grew up in rural Connecticut. He lives in southern New Hampshire. Spent his whole life in New England. He spent a lot of time in Boston too. He told me that Boston He said it's dead on target for being the fancy trash Venn diagram city in this country. Said I was right about that. But he said, he couldn't believe I couldn't find any good stories. So he wanted to share a story that he has on that subject. Before that, he points out that Southie, we talked about Southie a lot and how that's where the trash is in Boston. And he said that is still true, except Southie is being slowly gentrified.
Yeah.
So, like all the, hit and trash neighborhoods have been. So it's like part of it is trash, part of it is upscale yuppie. My dad is a lawyer, $20 espresso martini type stuff. And that's those are Travis's words. He says, in fact, the shitty apartment building that Matt Damon's trash ass character lived in Good Will Hunting, apartments in that building currently go for $4,500 a month for a 2-bedroom.
In Southie?
In Southie.
Get the fuck? Where?
Bro, that's more than I pay in Burbank, and I live in a house. Like, that's insane.
Dude, that's quadruple the mortgage on my home. Like, that is in Southie. Okay, well, then, not to get political, but where do the fucking Southie people go?
Yeah, into the sea, baby, where they belong. Down there with the lobster. Anyway, so then he said he's got a Boston story for us. I'm going to read through this. We'll cut in along the way because it is long, but I do think it hits.
Good.
So he says,
as they all are.
It was November 7, 2020. Me and my then girlfriend decided to go get brunch to drown out our anxieties from still not knowing who had won the damn election. Brunch and bougie Boston prices were still new to me, but if there was a time to drink, it was then. After paying way too much for lavender-infused mimosas and French toast, I volunteered to walk to the nearest liquor store to pick up a gift bottle of wine for another couple we were meeting later that night. Parting ways with my girlfriend, I walked down the street, passing all of the other trendy brunch places until I must have crossed some sort of unofficial DMZ and found myself in Old Southie, right?
Oh, God.
So once there, I was greeted by a visibly drunk older woman wearing a ratty hoodie with a faded airbrush picture of, you guessed it, Tweety Bird on it.
Yeah, they the same as us.
I know. Isn't that like, that's nice to hear. I thought the same thing. It's like the Tweety Bird is trash or is universal amongst the different types of trash. Cause like Southern trash, they had such a thing with Tweety Bird. Love Tweety Bird, bro.
I know you've had a joke about Tweety Bird. One of my first jokes that I ever wrote, I can't remember even what the premise or what the fucking joke was about, but I know in it that I walked up to a trailer where the old woman who came out to greet me was wearing a Tasmanian Devil t-shirt as a dress, which is the same thing. The Looney Tunes characters are high fashion in the Southern culture.
When I cleaned out the house I grew up in, I found an old sweater. It's a Tennessee Vols sweater, but it's the Looney Tunes characters and Vol stuff. And I was like, that's mine. I'm taking that.
Hell yeah.
Katie just told me she was in Salina working on the house, and she said some girl came by in her 20s asking about renting it. And so she told me that she told me her name and I didn't know her. And I said, was she wearing flip flops and a Tweety Bird shirt? That's the first thing out of my mouth. And Katie was like, no, she wasn't. No. She was like, no, she wasn't a crackhead. And I was like, okay. But
I'm sorry I stepped on your joke there.
Anyway, so yeah, back to Travis's story. Old drunk Boston lady, Tweety Bird hoodie. With her cigarette still in her mouth, she yelled out to me, "Hey there, Smoke Show. You gonna take me down to the library or what?" And he says, however exaggerated of a Boston accent you imagine that, know that it actually was way, way worse. Spoiler, I did not take her to the library, but I did find the liquor store, a Southie as fuck hole in the wall called Al's Liquors that has this Southie as fuck mural on the wall. And it's a mural that says, "Ireland unfree will never be at peace." And it's about, Northern Ireland not belonging to England.
Michael Collins.
So, potato people.
Did I do an episode on Michael Collins yet?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Anyway, I'm for it.
The potato people holding it down in Boston. Anyway, he continues. The guy behind the counter at Al's was, of course, Al, who's right out of Central Casting for the meathead henchman that Irish mob bosses use to beat protection money out of people. Al was holding court with two other background character in a Scorsese movie looking motherfuckers about Trump, the election, the George Floyd protesters, and his belief that black people, quote, weren't doing themselves any fucking favors with all the rioting.
Oh,
and if you're wondering whether he used a spicier term than black people, I'm here to tell you he super did. Let's just say that, contrary to Al's thick Boston accent, he used a word that proves he knows how to pronounce a hard R when he really wants to, which is crazy. Yeah, that was one.
It's hard for them to pronounce the hard R. So
when I was in Boston, one of the jokes I said about Boston up top was I was like, y'all take some of the heat off us for talking dumb and being racist sometimes, you know? And I was like, you guys deserve a lot of credit, really, because like the fact that you attained your racism reputation without the use of the hard R, I was like, you got to give it up. That is truly impressive. Because that's like the number one, weapon in the South's arsenal. You know what I mean?
Right,
you guys don't even have that.
It's a punctuation mark, that hard R.
Anyway, Travis continues. The day in the story conclude in Somerville, a super duper crunchy and liberal suburb of Boston, where we were having dinner later that night. News had broken earlier that Trump had lost to Biden, and the entire neighborhood was out and about celebrating. People were dancing and cheering in the streets, banging pots and pans together. And to top it off, our waiter produced a trumpet seemingly out of thin air and played a Chuck Mangione-esque rendition of the national anthem that brought everyone within earshot into deafening applause. It truly felt like the end of The Empire Strikes Back when the Death Star gets blown up and all the Ewoks are getting fucked up and celebrating.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Travis is a hell of a writer. This is really good. Yeah. I would subscribe to this. This is good shit.
Yeah. And then he finishes, anywho, the point of that long, wilding story is that Boston contains multitudes and may well be the most perfect example of the Diamond Dallas Page Puttin on Air's diagram that has ever existed. Love you like chicken, Travis, senior New England correspondent. So
well done.
I knew he thought I forgot. Because, like I said, at the end of the episode 2 weeks ago, I started to read it and said I'd have to revisit it. And I know in his head, he was like, I'll never hear that again. Well, there you go, Travis. Thanks for the airmail.
We've been all over
it.
Yeah, we do appreciate it. That was awesome. We've been all over the goddamn place as of late. We got shit going on, but we still make sure the show comes out every Friday and that it hits. You know what I mean?
Indeed. So let's do your thing right after this.
Y'all, with the busy fall season already in swing, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for jam-packed days. I know I am. Well, here's the deal. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You're going to save time, you're going to eat well, and you're going to stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. Factor has helped me so much because, during this time, I'm going out of town to see relatives, but I'm still trying to keep my workload up. And I like to be the chef, but sometimes I can't do it. So with Factor, I know, hey, it's going to be good and I ain't got to do anything. Also, adjust your stride this autumn without missing a step. You can choose from 34 weekly flavor-packed, fresh, never frozen meals ready to eat in 2 minutes, or you can level up with the Gourmet Plus options prepared to perfection by chefs and ready to eat in record time. Treat yourself to some upscale meals with premium ingredients like broccolini. That's broccoli's fancy cousin who studied abroad. Leeks, truffle, and asparagus. Or are you looking for calorie-conscious options like I always be doing, especially right after Thanksgiving? Well, you can get those. Try the delicious dietitian-approved Calorie Smart meals with around or less than 550 calories per serving, meaning if you eat 2 of them, you still don't have to feel too bad. Trey, you love Factor. Tell them about it.
I do love Factor. The thing I love the most about it is how hard it hits at lunchtime. We're busy running around chickens with our heads cut off and such and such. I like to cook, but I like to cook in the evening for lunch. I can't be bothered, but I still want something that hits, and that's where Factor comes in. But even if a regular Factor is not quite enough for your busy lifestyle, they also have lunch to go options. That means effortless, wholesome meals like grain bowls and salad toppers that are ready to eat whenever you're on the go. You don't even need the microwave for it. All right. Also, you can round out your meal and replenish your snack supply with over 45 add-ons, including breakfast items like apple cinnamon pancakes, bacon cheddar, egg bites, and potato, bacon, and egg breakfast skillets. Or for an easy wellness boost, try the refreshing beverages like cold-pressed juices, shakes, and smoothies, also a big hit at the Crowder household. With Factor, you can rest assured you're making a sustainable choice. They offset 100% of their delivery emissions, source 100% renewable electricity for their production sites and offices, and feature sustainably sourced seafood in all of their meals. This fall, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered to your door, ready in just 2 minutes, no prep, no mess. So here's what you do. Head to factormeals.com/POA50 and use the code POA50 to get 50% off. That's code POA50 at factormeals.com/POA50 to get half off. Give it a go. Listen, y'all, cold turkey might hit on a sandwich, but there's a better way to break your bad habits, though. I'm not talking about some weird mind voodoo from your crazy ass neighbor who uses her crystals and lights her candles and pours out her salt and does stuff with goats and all that. It don't matter if the moon's in retrograde or you got your chi harnessed or any of that type of stuff. That's not what we mean. We're talking about our sponsor, Fume. And they look at the problem in a different way. Not everything in a bad habit is wrong. So instead of a drastic, uncomfortable change, why not just remove the bad from your habit? Fume is an innovative, award-winning flavored air device that does just that. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses delicious flavors. You get it. Instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit you're free to enjoy and makes replacing your bad habit easy. Your Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial and is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do, which is helpful for de-stressing and anxiety while breaking your habit. Cho, tell them what you think about it.
Oh, I love it. I've told y'all a bunch of times. The first time I tasted it, I was like, I never want to taste oxygen that's not this. It's kind of like the first time I ever had flavored water. I just threw all the regular water right out. I love breathing it. If it was up to me, I'd turn my Fume into a snorkel type situation, so I could just breathe all that sweet orangeness all the time. You know, think of like a refreshing herbal tea. That's what's going on with one of these flavors that I particularly love. Also, it's super nice. It is a good fidgeter. If you're like me, I'm a huge fidgeter, and I like fidgeting with this thing. It's beautiful, real wood. Looks like the baseball bat that Babe Ruth hit his last home run as a Red Sox before then he went to the Yankees. And y'all know about the curse and all that stuff. You got to try the new Solano Fume. Solano. It's made with a premium walnut barrel and an onyx coated mouthpiece that has a slightly softer finish. Start the holidays off right with the good habit by going to tryfume.com/POA, getting the journey pack today. Fume is giving listeners of our show 20% off until December 1st when they use our code POA to help make starting the good habit that much easier. Easy for me to say. That's tryfum.com/POA. Use the code POA. You're going to get 20% off. Do it. Fume good. Other stuff, don't hit.
All right, we're back. Are we doing history, Professor Cho? I don't even know what you're doing. I have a vague idea of what you're doing.
It's definitely history with Professor Cho. It's actually like I'm kind of doing a whole thing. It's like it's a segmented thing that I'm doing here. It's gonna be fun.
Well, tell us about it.
Well, I'm going to start this off by reading you all an email that we received that normally I would save for airmail, but it was so precious and awesome that I decided that I wanted to read it now. So I will. I do not know this person's name because their email name is just a made up screen name. But I got this email in the puttingonairs@gmail.com, and the subject line said, "You guys have changed my outlook on life. Also, you're popular in prison here." When I saw the here, I was like, where is the here? Well, we're about to find out where the here is. Anyways, he goes on to write, "Wednesdays used to be my absolute worst day of the week, but thanks to the Skuniverse putting out weekly and well-read on Wednesdays, Tuesdays are out, but so you guys are a lot of this, I don't know what he's talking about, but he says, so you guys are basically beating tacos. Be proud gringos once again, unintentionally this time, denigrating Mexicans." But I've been free almost 20 years. He was in prison. So that is just chicken shit to what you guys mean to a lot of people that can't. Like, share, and subscribe. By the way, you'll get them in about 2 to 10 years. I hope you guys don't mind, and please don't sue, but I bootleg all of your YouTube videos every week to a USB and bring it to 2 different prisons here, along with movies and other series. Kind of like 2 Chainz, but I got no snakeskin pants though. Because prisoners here in Denmark can have computers, but no internet. So the boys get bored and they need something to pass the time. And I'll tell you what, when y'all get passed around in prison, you guys hit. You guys really do. You guys really do.
I used to get told that in junior high and high school. One day I'd get passed around in prison and it would hit for them.
Yeah, it's a compliment. You guys really do make a difference inside as funny conversation starters, and every little thing helps to keep the peace, because even in Nordic countries, prisons are prisons and criminals are criminals, but we are all people and y'all tend to show it. Plus, pastime is sometimes precious. P.S. I know that this will hit for you guys. Everyone in both places, meaning both prisons, seem to love you. Even the guards like it. But, and boy, this is the best thing I've ever heard. But in all truth, the darker the skin, the deeper the love. We hit for black people in Denmark. I didn't even know they were there.
I'm about to say, I didn't know y'all had any, but I'm glad to hear that we hit for them. What's up, fellas? If you're listening over there in your Danish prison, I imagine like y'all's prison's got like hitting pastries and stuff in it. I see y'all.
That's what I thought too.
Wearing wooden shoes and riding bicycles around the grounds and stuff and whatnot. I don't know either way. I hope you're doing well. It does hit for me to know that we're being enjoyed in any prison. And I'm not just saying that either. My mama's felonious, and I've got a lot. One of our best friends is a felon who spent a lot of time in prison. So I've always it's been a thing of mine that, to me, in this country, in America in particular, people just write off anybody that's ever made anybody that's ever been to prison. We just throw you in the trash, and that's on the left and the right. People on the left do the same shit. It's like we're so bloodthirsty in this country that it's like that whole if you can't do the time, don't do the crime thing. It's like it justifies any kind of bullshit treatment you can imagine, because you made a mistake or whatever, and now you just have no worth to society anymore. And I've never ever bought into that. And so also, I got love for y'all.
Every one of the people I've ever heard say that has done a crime and didn't get in trouble for it because they either knew they wouldn't or they just got lucky. And a lot of that luck, well, we know why. But here's the deal. I know that there's at least a couple people in Danish prison listening to this that probably deserve to be in prison. I'm not saying that. But coming from where we come from, and again, I don't know how it is over there, but I know a lot of people, you see it every day, people are in prison for things that you absolutely should not be in prison for. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be some sort of consequence. I'm just saying these things, hell, half of these things are now legal to do in the country, and people are still locked away for them, right? I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any type of consequence, but throwing a person's entire life away isn't necessarily the answer. So because we have some fans in the Denmark prisons, and because I feel that way, I thought it would be nice to do a segment, a Professor Cho, that was just about Denmark. I wanted to give them a little something extra because, we have fans all over the regular world, but I didn't know we were in prisons. So I wanted to say, hey guys, fucking A, I hope you get out. And when you do, by the way, and I don't know how long you've been in there, we'll have to teach you how to like, subscribe, retweet, do all this shit. We're going to put you to work. I'm sorry. But because of that, I wanted to talk a little about Denmark. Now, in my research,
so the general subject here is just the country of Denmark. That's where we're starting.
Hans Christian Andersen. We get to Hans Christian Andersen. Yeah.
Okay.
And I wasn't gonna do Hans Christian Andersen, but then in my research, I was like, holy shit, he's from there. I better talk about him a little bit.
So they already know we're Americans. We're dumbasses. We're other country dumb, especially really just any country. Name a country, we're dumb about it. And we're dumb about Denmark too. Cho has rectified that for himself. But what hits about this for me is, right, I know. What hits about this for me is how usually you cover these topics and presumably 98% or more, 99% of our listening audience, they also are not learned on the subject, just like me. So they hear you talking about it and it hits or whatever. But there's always like one person who has like a PhD in the given subject or is genuinely very learned in it. And apparently you drive those people insane with the way
and I
you
live
talk
for
about
it.
things. Yes, right. So it hits for me imagining these Danish prisoners having that reaction to you talking about their country. Like, so I'm really into this. So let's go ahead. Let's learn about Denmark, everybody.
They're either going to be like, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule and hijacking the show to talk specifically to us, or they're going to be like, I don't even know how they sound. And sorry, guys. And I know, look, I know this might not hit for y'all. In my brain, when I think of what Danish people sound like, it's the Swedish chef from Sesame Street.
Sure,
and y'all are all Hervey, Dervy, Sherby,
Hervey,
Dervy.
Dervy. I'm a ski slooping. Yeah, right.
I'm a shooper lamping. And by the way, I say that as a positive thing. That hits for me. I like it. I like y'all, like people from those types of country. I wish they were the ones that always gave me my bad news, because I feel like it would hit like, you forgot the ball cancer. I could live after that. You know what I mean?
I don't know, but I wonder if we've already pissed them off by like comparing them to Swedes. Cause I have no idea. I have no idea.
They might hate each other.
But I imagine, for whatever reason, I imagine in the Nordic countries that Sweden is kind of like Connecticut or somewhere. Like, you know what I mean? It's like they're all uppity and up their own ass or whatever to the other Nordic countries. Like, the fucking, you know how the Swedes are. They think they're better than everybody else, but maybe I'm wrong. They might be the Nordic trash, but I don't think so.
Well, then let me go ahead and front load this first fact about Denmark that I think will hit for the Danish prisoners and get them back on our side. Apparently, of the Vikings, which there were them all across all of the countries we just mentioned, the Danish ones were apparently the most badass Vikings, the most feared Vikings. Like, Swedish Vikings didn't have shit on the Denmark Vikings. If you were going to rape and pillage somewhere and you had to outsource that, you were calling the goddamn Danes. You weren't calling Sweden or the Netherlands or whatever, who the fucking Dutch are. You were calling the Danes. You know what I mean?
Matter of fact, I believe from TV shows I've watched, and not documentaries, scripted dramas I've watched, I believe that it's true
crimes.
that the Brits in the like, back in the day, they used to refer to they just referred to them as the Danes. Like that is
Vikings, accurate.
The Vikings that invaded Britain and came over there, they were called the Danes. It was like the Dane law. They had the Dane law and the agreements made with them and stuff. They were just universally called the Danes. So y'all the number one Vikings.
That's right. Well, in my research, I came upon some Danish folk tales that I thought were interesting. I'm only going to read one here, but the reason I'm reading this one is because it's a very short Danish folk tale, and it also read to me like sort of a street joke, but like from way old Denmark. You know what I'm saying? Also, so it's called, the folktale is called The Jutlander and His Stockings. Now, I did not in any way look up what a Jutlander was. I know that you have the capability to and probably are about to, but would you like to guess for a second what a Jutlander is? Like,
for some reason, I want to say, I don't. In my head, I'm automatically turning it into Jutlander.
That's probably what it is.
But no, someone that lives out on a peninsula somewhere. Something that juts out into the water.
Right.
You know,
look it up real quick.
They live out on land decks. Somebody that lives on the head of a land deck that juts out into the water. That's a Jutlander.
I do like how peninsulas look like wieners. That's fun to me.
Yeah.
You looking it up?
Let's see. A native or inhabitant of Jutland or Jutland or whatever. What the fuck is okay?
Well, I didn't even know that was a thing. Well, that makes sense.
It's a peninsula in northwestern Europe, which belongs to Denmark. How about that?
Damn, boy!
How about that?
God damn, boy!
Context clues, baby. Context clues. What's
Hell
up?
Yeah. My man. All right. Well, here's the folk tale, The Jutlander and His Stockings. A well-dressed Uitlander once took a drop too much and consequently lost command of his legs. He was drunk. Landing at full length in the middle of the high road where he fell asleep. While he was lying in this state, another wayfarer passed him. When he observed the Uitlander's fine stockings and compared them to his own, which were old and worn, he saw his chance to draw the good stockings off the Uitlander's feet and to replace them with his own. On doing this, he walked on. When the Uitlander had slept till he was somewhat more sober, a man came driving along shouting, "Keep your legs by yourself, or I shall run them over." The Uitlander awoke, lifted his head, and looked at his legs. When he noticed a pair of gray, ragged stockings and remembered that his own were pretty white and brand new, he lay quietly down again, answering, "Drive on. These are not my legs."
Okay.
It's a street joke.
So, all right. Yeah. These are trash legs. You can just fuck them all up.
Run over them.
These legs don't hit. I don't even want them if they're going to look like that. Goddamn. Run them over. If I ain't got my fancy leg warmings on, then you could just take them. I mean, is that what I am to take away from that? From that tale?
I think
show?
so. That's what I took away from it. It
I'm
was like,
trying to
these
think
clearly
if
ain't my legs. Go ahead and run over them.
No, we're being too dumb about it. There's got to be.
No, that has to be it. Drive on. These are not my legs. The guy was basically saying, keep your legs by yourself, pull your legs back, or I'm going to run over him. He looked down. He was like, these ain't my legs. Go ahead. It's dumb. I think that has to be it.
No. We're being dumb about it. I think.
Okay.
I think like it's. I'm trying to think. It's like a person like they. If something about their life isn't the way they're used to it being all of a sudden, then they, don't care about it or something. There's some kind of life lesson here. There's got to be.
Okay, so what you're saying is he was like...
There's got to be some message to this, right?
Okay.
These old folk tales, they have some sort of meaning. They're like fables or, there's a moral of the story.
So it's kind of like
right?
when a kid upsets their father and he's like, I have no son. So in his brain, he's like, if these are my legs, go ahead and run me over. Like, you think that's what it is?
Maybe that, or something about like...
Maybe the Uitland people are stupid. Maybe that, you know what I mean? Maybe this is like a Polish joke. Like maybe the Uitland people...
Polak joke? Yeah,
because I'm saying like Uitland is owned by Denmark, but maybe they're stupid people. And so they're like, the joke here is that like, he's so dumb. He's like, these ain't my legs. You know what I mean? That's not how they talk, but
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, that is dumb, but it could also be like maybe it's about materialism. Look at me being all, I'm like a poetry major in college or something right now. I'm just trying to
queer was what I was going to say, but
being very queer about all this, but like, if you don't have the fancy trimmings, then it doesn't matter.
You don't want to live.
That's not what really matters. What matters is the legs underneath, not the stockings on top. But because he didn't have fancy stockings, because they've been replaced with these trash stockings, he just threw it all away because it wasn't worth it to him. But that ain't the way you ought to be.
Can I tell you something? The prisoners are going insane right now because they know exactly what it is.
Sure.
And either we have completely undersimplified it, or you're being whatever they call gay over there. I don't know what the word is. You know what I mean?
Yes. So also
sucking wieners.
I've looked into it further. The Jutland, if that's even how you say it, it's a peninsula of Northern Europe that forms the continental portion of Denmark. So like the bulk of Denmark is Jutland. So
so it can't be what I said.
But anyway, yeah.
Right.
There
so that
takes
like, it can't be the thing that I said about how they're the dumb ones, because if they're the majority of Denmark,
they are the majority geographically looking at it. There's two sort of,
but that doesn't always mean, because like in Canada, it's like all the people in Canada could fit in like Texas or something. Like it's big, but there ain't a lot of people there.
So Denmark, I'm just now learning. So it it utes off of Germany into the sea, right?
Is that where we get yeet from? Yeet
that's the
to yut?
No, that ain't no way.
Oh.
The fucking Zoomers, who knows what they're doing? But like,
Right. I
there's
like yeet. Yeet's a good one. I'm a fan of that
yeah.
term from the young people. I yeet
So from what I
from
can
time to
tell,
time.
there's 4 or maybe 5 sections of Denmark. The other 4 are little islands between the peninsula and Sweden. These islands between there, and they're all pretty close. 3 separate islands, and then one off to the right. And then, but the bulk of the land of Denmark is Jutland, the peninsula.
Okay.
If they even call it Jutland. But yeah, Jutland is the bulk of Denmark geographically. Okay. I don't know if that's where most of the people live or not.
Well, in other things that might not hit for some of the prisoners, Denmark is the first country to recognize same-sex marriage. Yeah, they recognized them and registered them. When do you think it was? They were the first ones to do it. When do you think it was?
1986.
1989. Motherfucker, you was close. And you didn't go over. So Price is Right. You win.
I win. Yeah. Price is Right rules. Yeah, exactly.
That's right. Lego was invented there.
Yeah, of course.
You're a big Lego fan, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Love
Don't
Legos.
y'all go to the thing? Y'all go to the thing?
Legoland, we haven't been in a minute, but we've been to Legoland many, many times. Yes, over the course of my children's childhood, living here in Southern California. Yeah, it's a magical
they have rides?
place. Yeah, of course they do. Yeah,
right.
Legoland,
but they all look like Lego
park.
Lego cars and stuff like that.
They have, all that. Or they take you. There's like a boat ride where they take you through it's like a jungle cruise type thing, but all the animals are built out of Legos, which is
love that.
It's kind of cool because I mean it's a huge like hippo and it's massive, but it's made entirely out of Legos, shit like that. I mean, it's right. Legos are cool, man. Fucking like
I love Legos. Me and you've talked about this a lot. I'm like having my son. One of literally the first things that I thought of as soon as he was born, I saw God. I had this life-changing moment, and I was like, not that long from now, I can buy Legos again. You know what I mean? I was pumped.
It is a part that hits, dude. I mean, this has been my whole thing with you and Drew having kids. I've just been, coming face to face with the reality of my fatherhood experience. And on that note, like my Bishop and Benton they just about done with Legos. Like they're like mine are like aging out of Legos as we speak.
Down to my house. You're welcome anytime. I've got a spare bedroom that I will turn into your palace. And when Bang gets of age, you can sit there and I will not mind at all. I'm fine sharing my father time with him he needs to meet his Uncle Trey. We'll build the fucking Death Star. We'll do all that shit. It'll be fun. Now, granted, because of who I am as a person and our need in our business for constant content, we probably will film it and put it on Instagram. But like, dude, that would be fucking awesome. Like, come down, play Legos. Like, I'm all about you raising my son. You know what I mean? You come down here, help me do it, and then you can get the experience of fatherhood back without any of the like nagging, like, oh, what if something happens? Like, you get to leave right after that. Like, unclehood is the fucking shit.
Sure. I mean, I still got plenty of fatherhood left to go. It's just I'm out of the fun baby toddler part, which is where
that part hits.
But, that part does hit. Yes, it makes me sad. But anyway, the Legos, they're like engineering marvels too. Like people just take them for granted because everybody's used to them and how they work. But like the engineering specificity of Legos, you know what I mean? Like how how perfectly they all fit together universally across the board. And considering they're tiny little pieces of plastic, like that's some impressive engineering feats right there, Danish people. They ought to be proud of that.
I don't know if this came up to you because you were a smart kid, right? Well, I fucked with Legos when I was a kid, but there were other kids that thought people who played with Legos were dumbasses because they were playing with was it the erector sets or the connector? You remember those?
Erector sets, sure.
Erector sets. There was like a division in my school of like you're either a Lego person or you're an erector set person, and I was always a Lego person, and I thought the erector set was cool and shit, but I was like, I'm trying to see Chewbacca. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, I don't really give a fuck to build a crane.
Yeah, no, we didn't have that in Salina, thankfully. I thought we're like, you were lucky to have Legos. Most people had fucking blocks, BLX or whatever the fuck, the
Right.
shit you
just
get at the
tried to
dollar
make
store.
sticks fit.
Mega blocks or whatever the fuck they were called.
I remember
yeah.
we had Mega Blocks. I had those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Mega Blocks. So, also in Denmark, the oldest theater in the world that is still existing, the Korshar Cinema Theater, is the oldest in the world, having its first screening in 1908, which I assume in 1908, their first screening was a Dane on a horse sitting there. Like, what do you think that was?
Yeah, 1908. Did they even have the train yet? The
I don't
famous
think so.
the movie of the train coming at the screen, and people fucking dove out of the way and freaked out because people's dumb in the past.
Right. Does it blow your mind that
in 1908? I know that like
I guess this is the oldest one that's still here. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the first.
It's
continuous. Yeah. Because I was about to say it's wild that
cinematic. Well, you said theater, and my head went to like Shakespeare play theater, but you meant like cinematic theater specifically. Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I mean, I knew they had them in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and yeah, they were all just like little clips of things that people were just like, "Can you believe this moves?"
Yeah, right. That fat man sure did fall.
I don't even think they had gotten to the fat man fallen era of Hollywood yet.
No, that took a while to work up to.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. This is kind of now on my bucket list because, me and you consider ourselves, and I know that there's people who we pale in comparison to, but I definitely consider myself a cinephile. Like, so many of me and you's conversations, whether it be text or in person, is about whatever movie we've just seen, whatever old movie we've just seen. We're always talking about how'd they block this or whatever. Like, I consider myself a cinephile. So like, I do feel, and maybe it would be a good place to go for Round Here Over Yonder Part 2. By the way, Part 1 is available right now wherever you get your books, but it's kind of on my bucket list. I've got to go to the oldest cinema. They also have the oldest monarchy in all of Europe. Would you have bet that?
You mean like what? Like direct line monarchy? Like, so first of all, they have a king right now.
They have a king right now.
And that king is descended from a line of kings that goes back farther than any other line of kings in Europe.
King Hugelijk is thought to have been the first king in Denmark, dating back to the 8th century during the early Viking Age. They also have the oldest flag. There's a lot of shit that they got going on that's the oldest that there is. Like, they were the first, like, they were like, red stripe, that's us. Flag, like, they're the first motherfuckers, which it makes sense, I guess, like, with all their Vikings being so powerful that they would be like, we're going to keep fucking raping and pillaging. We're going to have some sort of symbol to, like, stab in the ground. So when other people come here thinking that they're about to do the same, they'll be like, oh, shit, never mind. The Danes are here. So I guess that tracks.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to me if that was the first. Like, it's wild that they landed on just a white cross on a red banner or whatever. Because, like, just knowing how the Vikings are, I would have thought it'd be a lot more metal than that. Maybe they didn't have enough artists
just blood splattered
to put together. Yeah, blood splatter on a white background, or fucking
They probably tried that, and then they were like, well, we need, like, consistency, and I don't know if you're going to be able to get the same blood splatter every time.
Mass produce things back then, so you need something you could, consistently put together with efficiency,
That was probably the inspiration for it. Like, somebody probably had a white sheet, they were making a tent, and then some Viking came over with a mace and just split some dude's head open, and it just sort of projected out and made some sort of blood cross.
There was like a white sheet, and like enough people died to where their arms made a cross pattern on the white sheet. Just 4 dead arms and legs came together in the shape of a cross, and the rest of it got soaked all the way through with blood. And when they pulled the corpses out, they were like, that hits.
Yeah.
See how it's still white there where the limbs used to be? That's pretty cool. Let's just do that.
And it's a cross the opposite way too. Like, it's not the Jesus cross. It's like if Jesus was knocked over, you know what I mean? So like, it's better. Also, I guess fucking 8th century, hell, that predates Jesus, don't it?
No.
Oh, right. What?
Joe,
He weren't. No, he were BC. You're right. You're right. I'm
Eighth
stupid.
century. The whole
Yeah,
reason it's called the eighth
8th
century
century is because it
is
was
it means it's
8,000
the
years
eighth
or
century
800 years. 800
after
years after
Jesus.
Jesus. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
right.
right. All right, edit that out, Dad.
Do
Don't,
not, Dale.
All right.
Don't you dare.
Oh, all of a sudden, Trey knows about Jesus. Look at him. All right. So, among firsts, the first JPEG, the compressed file, was created in Denmark, and Google Maps was invented there by a Danish engineer. Also, there are more bikes than cars there, which
Okay, good. Because
yeah,
I made a joke about bikes earlier, and
you
in
did,
my
and it
head
worked.
I was like, I don't even know for sure that that's them with the bike. In my head,
It is them.
I was like, it might be Holland, it might be the Dutch that fuck with bikes, or maybe they both do. So I'm glad to hear you say that they got more bikes than cars, because I made a bike joke earlier. So yeah.
First off, they definitely both do. But secondly, yeah, you were correct. But here's an even better: there are more these things than there are things. There are more pigs than humans in Denmark.
The big pork people, did not know that.
I didn't look it up any further. I just know that there are more pigs than humans in Denmark. And then I got to thinking about it, and I was like, well, you got a farm, there's a bunch of pigs, but there's only like 2 or 3 people living there. But then I was like, wait, in America, there damn sure ain't more pigs than there are
I don't know, dude.
people.
Listen, think about it. If there are not, it's only because we import enough pigs from other places. Because think about it, every
Human,
one human in this
right?
country eats how many pigs per week?
So
You know,
many.
you don't eat a whole pig, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you claim your diet claims the life of what? At least a couple of pigs a week, right? If you
Oh,
eat pork like
easily.
4 or 5,
And
right?
chickens and cows
Right.
and yeah.
So you
And
spread, so like, I mean, I don't know, but one pig can feed how many people? But we eat so much pork. I bet it's close, dude.
I
I
bet
bet
it
it's
is
close.
close. As a matter of fact, there's that we've heard about this. This is something I've tried to get me and you to do, and maybe we will when it comes time for the sequel of Round Here Over and Yonder, our travel book that's available now wherever you get books. There's a place in Texas that has such a surplus of pigs that they
Mhm.
allow people, and I listen, trigger warning, a lot of vegans who I know watch this show and love this show, you're about to get mad. And normally I am not for this type of stuff. However, apparently the pigs are a problem in some places in Texas. And so, damn, this is going to insult people that like pigs and hate guns. All right. I know how this is going to sound, but there's a place in Texas where they're so overrun with pigs that you can hop on a helicopter. They will strap you in such a way that you actually lean over the helicopter. They will give you an automatic rifle and you just take out fucking pigs like you're in Call of Duty, but instead of Germans, it's pigs. And I'll
Pigs.
be honest with you, like, I'm the type of person who have always said, like, I'm glad that my brother-in-law hunts because I love eating deer, but I could never do that. I could never kill a deer. But the prospect of hanging out of a helicopter and recreating like video games that I've played and just machine gunning down pigs, it don't not hit for me. Where are you at on that?
I'm 100% with you. Look, even vegans, they should understand that, like, there's such a thing as invasive species. Like, an invasive species, they fuck shit up. Like, and
Right.
they fuck shit up for other animals who also hit for you vegans. And as I understand it, feral hogs are like one of the most like destructive invasive species we
They
have in
got
this
horns.
country. So if they're fucking running out of control, I mean, you gotta, you
Shoot
gotta
'em.
you gotta cull that herd. And if that takes the form of helicopter massacre, so be it. Why not?
Right.
If you can get some video game action out of it at the same time, why not?
I was about
Sounds
to say
fun to me.
you're killing 2 birds here because like their area, whatever that area is, like they've clearly been affected by all these feral hogs. So not only do you get to help them get rid of them, but also like, I assume you pay to get in this helicopter and shoot these pigs. I would. Now, obviously it would hit for me if they were like, we're so desperate you can do this for free. If that was the case, I probably would have already gone. But me and my brother-in-law have talked about this a long time, but I'll save it if we ever do a sequel. If you'll go pig sniping with me, I think that would hit.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that or old there in Copenhagen, which I assume is the capital. It's the capital. In Copenhagen, they still have an active theme park that has been there since, guess.
Man, theme park? Fucking.
Yep. This blew me away.
Okay, if it blew you away, I'll say 1875.
1583.
They had theme
I know.
parks in
What the fuck?
1583.
What were they
Who
even
had
doing?
time for a theme park? They were too
Like
busy having tuberculosis and
I
shit, fucking
know.
women from pigs and stuff.
Like the carousel was
Like,
just actual horses. You know what I
what
mean?
is the theme of the park?
I didn't
Like,
look it up.
sure.
I
Yeah.
just read the fact. I wanted us to just riff on what it was. I bet that, like, how much of the theme
They
park
couldn't
do
have
you
had
think?
rides. You just go down there, you like, come throw tomatoes at the bicycle thief. You
Right.
know?
They just charge
Fuck it.
you for what you were doing anyways.
Yeah. We've got they line up fucking adulteresses or whatever and just let you hurl produce at them and win prizes and shit. I don't know. Fucking, what were they doing in the 1500s at a theme
That's
park? God damn.
That's what I was wondering. Like my first image, like as soon as I saw theme park 1583, my first image was like, you remember when we were talking about medieval torture devices and I was talking about that Lazy Susan Plinko thing shit they had?
Yeah.
I was like, well, I guess that, but like they charged you money to like, yeah, like you said, throw a tomato at the person who was already getting beaten to death. I have no fucking idea. I wish that I'd looked it up more, but actually I'm glad I didn't so we could just speculate on it. But like, that's fucking crazy. Not only because of what did they have, because as we know, theme parks, it's like rides that require at least some primitive form of technology that they didn't have then. But also
Couldn't
the
have been
fact that like,
rides. Couldn't have
right,
been rides, I don't think.
but but also the fact that like when I think about 1583, and we talked about this during the medieval torture part, like no one was really going out of their way to make something that would hit for people. You know what I mean? Like everything, it seemed like people were so busy harvesting cabbages, pledging fealty to their Lord, and then, as you often say, coughing in the mud and dying. Yeah,
Yes,
coughing to death and dying. So, like, when the fuck do you fit in Six Flags over Herpy Derpy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is wild.
What do you think their number one fast food is?
Have I heard of it?
You've heard of it.
Burger King.
I just meant the food item.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Fucking waffles, Stroop waffles.
You would think, but it's actually hot dogs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, our people, apparently. And here's the last, well, it's not the last. I got another one after this, but this is the last one that doesn't relate to the thing that I'm then going to blather on about. Even though they were once named the happiest country on earth, they now have the highest use of antidepressants. I think that maybe two things can be true. You know what I mean? Like maybe they were just like dishing out a bunch of antidepressants and therefore everyone in the goddamn country is happy.
Is happy. Yeah. I buy that.
I mean, it seems like a great place. Like all these places over there. By the way, I'm about to do a thing that we often do on Putting on Airs. Let me go ahead and cue it up with its sound. Talking out of my butt. But I feel like all those countries, the Nordic countries, your Swedens, your Denmarks, your, say another one. Norway's, all those places, like they all have, like they're still capitalistic in some ways, but they have socialized medicine. Like everyone can get taken care of. The government takes care of the roads. I remember one time reading about, I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Sweden. They had already come up and tested this concept that they were trying to get the U.S. on board with, which was smart roads. Did you ever hear about this?
Solar panels on the road?
So it was a government it was a government project that they enlisted all these scientists to do, where all the roads were these smart roads. And so like underneath them, there was a grid. And a lot of the reason they did it was because they were like, God damn, it's cold as fuck here. And it ices over the roads, and like pulling salt out is, it's a whole thing. So going on the line of like how some airports on their runways are doing heated, pavement and stuff like that, they decided to do that. But also these smart roads light up at night to give you like extra visuals aside from just your light. And also like it has these big, on the road, it'll have the arrows that are kind of like coaching you on like there's a big turn coming up, all this type of shit. And they were like, hey, this is like the future of roads. This makes things safe for everybody. And they proposed it to the US, and the US was just like, absolutely not. We can't have anything like that. We can't spend money on that as a government because the people will hate it because they'll have to pay for it. But anyways, my point is like, you read all this shit about those other countries and you go, well, goddamn, no wonder they're the fucking happiest place on earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They try to make a hit for people, it seems like.
That's true. Also, big fact, Hans Christian Andersen is from Denmark. Did you know that, Trey?
I did not. Hang on. Let me say before you start.
Okay. Go ahead.
Are we about to begin the story of Hans Christian Andersen? Because
should we save it for next week?
I would propose you just do that on next week's episode. Because
that works for me.
He's a big figure. He's a big figure.
And it's going to take me an hour.
An hour and a half plus in. Right. Yes. I don't think we should start that right now. Well,
that's fine by me, Trey. But if that is the case, I would like to get into some airmail, if that's okay with you.
Let's do it.
Okay, let me, here we go. And there's the first one. All right. I really should save this one for last, but God damn it, it's fucking great. Subject line, clarification, look how dumb Trey looks. This is the person who sent us the original email. Ryan says, I just listened to Well Read. This is such an example of what we literally first talked about in this episode of how we don't know what the fuck we're saying. I just listened to Well Read this week, and I'd like to clarify something about the image I sent in. I took a screenshot of the, all caps, thumbnail
I know
of that YouTube short. I just checked, and that image is still the thumbnail on that short. That's not me pausing it. That is the universe or YouTube algorithm that did that. I knew y'all would appreciate the hilarity of the situation. So no, Trey, that is not just some fluke of a fan pausing a video. That's that's the YouTube algorithm saying, this guy don't hit. Let's make sure everyone knows. Even though we all know you do, in fact, hit. You won't find a bigger Trey Crowder fan than me if you don't count Paige. I've attached another screenshot to show the thumbnail. Also, can y'all hook me up with one of those shirts? I'll Venmo you for it. I don't know what shirt he's talking about.
I don't either.
He also says skew, and that's Ryan McBride. And then, you can't see it probably, but he circled the thumbnail there.
I know.
Of you looking Ryan, dumb as fuck.
If you're only an airhead, you don't know otherwise what he's talking about. We actually, earlier I was talking about going to Boston. We were talking about Boston. I made a video before I went to Boston comparing Boston and the South and put it on YouTube and on my socials. And on YouTube, when I put it up, the YouTube picks a thumbnail. Yes, you can change the thumbnail, right? That's what most people do.
I don't believe you did.
People that hit, but I don't hit, so I don't do that. And the thumbnail that YouTube selected is me looking Forrest Gumpy. Yes, like
not Forrest Gumpy. God, I know, no. Way
what?
Dumber than Forrest Gump.
Forrest
Gump was a passing dumbass. In that picture, you look like you are drooling over a window that you have yet to lick.
Yes, that is true. What I said on Well Read was, if you just randomly pause anybody in the middle of talking at some point, you could catch them looking like that, which is true. And even though Ryan didn't do that, that still is what YouTube did. Should I have caught it and changed it? Sure. But you know what? I'm fine with it. That's fine.
You're a confident man.
I can't change it at this point. Now that it's
your whole thing is being a dumbass that talks.
If I go and change it at this point, fucking that makes me look worse. Well, I don't know
Well,
about that.
I
But
don't think
anyway,
anyone
yeah,
would know except for the new people that saw it that you did it. No, I don't want you to change it. Matter of fact, if
I'm
you
not going to
do,
change it.
I have your
I'm not going
YouTube
to
log
change it.
in. I've never done
Sure.
anything except for upload our shit, but I will take advantage of that and go change it.
So I'm going to try to tell this quick because I meant to tell it earlier. That video, that YouTube video where I compared Boston and the South, I talked about Matt Damon and him retiring the F slur, right?
Yeah.
And I said I told that thing that we always talked about when it happened, Show. I was like, it's so funny to me. He said it's so funny the way he talked about it, retire the F slur. I just picture him in like a garage in Southie, solemnly hanging up a Pats jersey with the F slur written on the back of it, right? With tears in his eyes, hanging it up right beside a Celtics jersey with the N word on it, right? Like he's retiring those slurs, which I still think is so goddamn
It's
hilarious.
so funny. That'd be a great sketch.
Anyway, it'd be a great sketch, right? So anyway, that's what I said in the video, and I was like, right by a Celtics jersey with the N word on it. This past Friday, I went on Sirius Satellite Radio, the Karen Hunter Show, which is on urban something. It's a black.
Karen's great.
Yes, she is great. Sirius, it's a it's a black channel on Sirius. This is a black show, right? And I go on there, and she calls.
I didn't know what they meant by urban, so thank you for correcting that for me.
But they bring me on there, and she plays that video, and then so I'm like, imagine Matt Damon hanging that Pats jersey with the F slur on or whatever, right beside a Celtics jersey and then they cut the video out, and Karen goes, and then he says the N word. Anyway, Trey Crowder, everybody. That's how she did it. They cut it out right there. So you hear me go right beside a Celtics jersey and then it cuts out, and she goes, and then he says the N word. Trey Crowder, everybody. And so immediately I came on and I was like, thanks for having me. Listen, I kind of feel obligated to say that I sort of feel like the way you edited that video and what you made it seem like I said the actual N word, and I didn't. I just want everybody to know I didn't. I literally said the N word. I didn't say the word though. And this dude, Roderick was the other guest on there. He goes by the black guy who tips. Roderick, the black guy who tips. He was on there at the same time, right? He's losing his fucking mind as I'm doing this, just like you were. I'm like, just so everyone knows, I kind of feel like that didn't really represent. I just want you to know. And he's fucking laughing his ass off, bro.
Oh my God.
And Karen was like, she was like, no, he didn't say the word. I just meant he said the N word, whatever.
She didn't even consider the implications.
No, she didn't. And then she blamed it on her producer or whatever.
So many people stopped listening at that moment though. Right, and forever they think that.
So anyway.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah. That video is just the gift that keeps on giving. Let me tell you.
Unbelievable. All right. Jesus. It's hard to follow that, but still I will try. This next one, subject line, the economic standard of honey mustard. Hey, Corey, I just got to say, as a small business owner, I totally agree with you about the ranch dressing. I have a sandwich place, and I charge X amount whether you are putting whatever toppings on your sandwich. I am not a tight ass, and I'm not going to sit there and count, well, this person had tomatoes, that one didn't, so I'm going to charge them less if they get a plain burger. She didn't write it that way. I just, I was doing my own thing. No, because in the end, it all equals out. Just as sauce packets also would equal out, but some people have to be assholes. It's the same reason I don't charge you an extra 3% if you're using a credit card. I think it looks tacky and cheap, and I don't like going to places that do that, so I'm not going to do it to somebody else. Love the show. I'm from the Midwest, and I love you guys. You make me laugh every week. Have a great day. There you go.
Yeah. That hits. Ranch, honey mustard, fucking giving me all of them.
And this last one, not as funny as any of those, but it's going to end up hitting for me personally, so I wanted to read it. Subject line, still got a P.O. box for fans, mail /gifts. Hey, Cho, big fan of the podcast. Wondering if you guys still have a P.O. box. I caught Trey in Chicago a week ago, but didn't get in on the meet and greet, so I missed out on handing off some low anxiety THC gummies that you guys might enjoy. Y'all have taken my boring customer service job and turned it into a chill activity to do while I listen to your podcast in one ear. Wishing you all the best and hope to get goodies to you soon. Alice giggles. Yes, we do have a P.O. box. It is P.O. Box 240, Chickamauga, Georgia, 30707. That is our P.O. box.
Okay. I also want to say, just so that this has come up on my Patreon a lot, just anybody listening, for the record, any of my solo stand-up shows, there are not supposed to be meet and greets anymore. The idea is just that I just go out there and stand around after the show and talk to whoever. Used to have meet and greets for a long time. I told my agent a while ago I didn't want to have meet and greets anymore, and he agreed. Some of these shows are booked really far in advance. So every now and then I still show up to one and they have a meet and greet. That should end in the future. Sometimes the venue suggests it, whatever. I don't know. All I'm saying is there's not supposed to be meet and greets. Sometimes it still happens. When they have meet and greets, I feel like I have to honor that.
Yeah.
Respect that. And people that bought the meet and greet tickets, I have to do the meet and greet with just them. But what I will say is, and I said this on my Patreon, but I'll say it here too for any airheads, it should not happen. But if you ever come to one of my shows and they tell you there's a meet and greet and you don't have the right thing, tell them that you are one of my patrons, and that is included with being a patron, that you get to come to the meet and greet, right? And if they give you any flack for it, tell them to come ask me. All right. And I know people don't want to be Karens or whatever about it, and I get that. But if you're comfortable with it, tell them I said to come ask me. If they come ask me, this person says they're one of your patrons, and I don't care if you actually are. I'm saying if you're just an airhead, not a patron, that's fine. Just tell them that. And if they come to me and say this person says they're a patron, they want to be in the meet and greet, I will tell them every time, yes, let that person do it. But hopefully it shouldn't come up anymore. But that's a little cheat for y'all if that happens again, because that should not happen. So that's what you can do, just so y'all know.
Hell yeah. I agree. That is wonderful of you, Trey, man of the people. While we are plugging things, you just mentioned your Patreon, which they can find at patreon.com/Trey Crowder. Am I correct? Yeah. It's a wonderful time over there. My Patreon situation, it's not a Patreon, but it's similar. It's a Substack, and you can find that at bonuscorey.com. And I would like to take a second to tell you about all the cool things that we have going on over there. I have created an entire fictional universe. If you're a fan of Garrison Keillor and Lake Wobegon and Prairie Home Companion, or I'll throw this one out there, fucking holy shit, I just forgot the other thing I was comparing it to because I've had some drinks.
Night Vale?
Yes, Night Vale, things like that. It's called Chickaluki City Limits. I've created this entire fictional universe. We have full-length audio dramas from there. You've heard me talk about Colonel Cornbread and the case of the Confederate Ruby. Matter of fact, and Trey don't know this, I put an episode of Pastor Petey's Sunday sermon on the POA feed this week for y'all to get a taste of what we're doing. Pastor Petey is the pastor from my fictional universe of Chickaluki. There is a Chickaluki newsletter that goes out. It's a whole fictional universe. We're having so much fun. It's at bonuscorey.com. But also, I write standalone essays, do bonus podcasts. If you like my rants from Twitter and Instagram and stuff, I do bonus rants on there. It's a lot of fun. bonuscorey.com. Also, grab our book, Round Here and Over Yonder. It is available wherever books are sold. And even if you already have your copy, think about how much you loved it and think, wouldn't that be awesome to give someone as a Christmas gift as the holiday season rolls around? Trey, promote your shit, my friend.
Next weekend, I'll be at Cobb's in San Francisco. Then I'll be at the Grove in Lowell, Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas. Then me, Cho, and Drew will be together again at Zany's in Nashville, as we are every year before Christmas. I got a bunch of 2024 dates, too. Go to TreyCrowder.com. Check them out. Come and see me.
Yep, and I will be by myself in Asheville, North Carolina, December 28th at the Gray Eagle. I was told that all the premium tickets were already sold out. It's moving fast, so grab them now. Gray Eagle, Asheville, North Carolina. More importantly, everybody, stay fancy, motherfuckers.
Here's Lydia Lovelace.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Royalty and rednecks are alike. They both like cutting and picking fights. Biscuits and baked beans where they don't belong. Sit on down with Corey and Trey and learn some fancy shit today. We'll laugh a little even when they're wrong. They'll take you to a magical place where if you call someone a cunt, nobody cares. They keep it debonair at putting on airs, putting on airs, putting on airs, putting on airs.
NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. Woo!
As an adult, don't we all miss spring break? Nothing like taking a week off from all your responsibilities. Well, here's the next best thing for adults, a spring break from house payments. SaveWithConrad.com can help you get rid of all your credit card debt, just like that. We're routinely helping our listeners save $5, $6, $7, even $800 a month. And you don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket to do this, but check this out, no house payments for 2 months at SaveWithConrad.com.